State use severe discrepancy to determine specific learning disability eligibility. That is a horrible idea, and I want to tell you why. Hi, I'm Lisa Stewart, your special education expert, and I want to talk to you about states that determine eligibility for dyslexia, specific learning disability, based on severe discrepancy, and why it doesn't work, and it's a horrible idea. So, if your kid has ever been tested for special education, you are probably familiar with the bell curve. This bell curve determines where your child is in comparison to every other kid in their age group. When we're looking at IQ, we look at 85 to 115 pretty much as being average. So when we're looking at severe discrepancy, we look at the difference between capability, which is the IQ, and what their actual performance is. Please note that when we're talking about IQ, you should ask the team for general ability index so that we can take out working memory and processing speed, things that need to be accommodated in order to show your true capability. So what I wanted to do is explain how severe discrepancy works and why it's unfair when we're talking about this average. When we take the IQ, most severe discrepancies are a 25-point gap. That is what they're looking for. It varies by state. I've pulled up scores for an 8th grader. An 8th grader is at the very top end of the bell curve in IQ. In order for them to qualify for specific learning disability under severe discrepancy, then they will need to score a 95, which is still within that average range, in some of those other areas. I've pulled up the information for reading comprehension, although it will be a little bit different but fairly similar across the board. So for reading comprehension, we need a 95, which would put the student right here, still within that average range. If your state is using severe discrepancy, chances are they will not qualify them, even with that 25-point gap, because they're going to be functioning within grade level. That's a whole different video. But what you should know is the IQ of this 8th grader that is at 115, still within the average range, is 11th grade, 6th month, while their reading capability is 6th grade, 3rd month. Now, let's move down to right in the dead center, exactly average, 100 IQ. So for the 8th grader, that would make them 8th grade, 8.0, right? In order to qualify with the severe discrepancy in reading comprehension, they would need to score a 75. So now we're down in the below average range. So we're down here, right? 75. So that makes their reading level, this 8th grader, mid-year, their reading level would need to be a 4.1. That puts them 4 whole grades behind in reading in order to qualify. This is where the unfairness really starts to shine. When you hit the bottom of this scale, 85, we have the student's grade level at 5th grade, 7th month. So their IQ, or their ability, is already a grade or 2 below what the school is expecting from them. Here's the kicker. To qualify for reading comprehension, they need to be at a 60, all the way down here, which puts them, are you ready for this? At a grade level of 2.1. So if your 8th grader has an IQ of 85, which is still in the average range, your child must be performing 6 grade levels below what is required in order to qualify under severe discrepancy. So if we're at the top range, they need to be performing at the 6th grade level, 2 grade levels below what grade they are currently in. If they are the very average range, they're going to be performing 4 grade levels below the grade they're actually in. But if they are at the low range, they are going to be performing 6 grade levels below what grade they are actually in before they can qualify under severe discrepancy. So if your state uses severe discrepancy to determine eligibility for specific learning disability, I highly recommend you reach out to someone, your Department of Education, your school board, your legislator, and see if you cannot get them to change that to a patterns of strengths and weaknesses to really determine if a student has a need for specially designed instruction in order to meet what they're capable of doing. I hope you found this helpful. If you're looking for more special education navigation, follow me.